never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Howdy, folks. How are you? If government is limited. I like those last couple of words from good old Ronnie Reagan there, especially today, because I think government has been severely limited in ways that many people didn't think could ever happen. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's proving to be an exciting one. Gomez first in the house tonight. Nice to have you in, brother, and Lady Ryder Rose. Also, well, just a 15th apart. Who else was in the house? Tony and what that basically right on top of you all, piling in, I've got to say. Hello, Aussie Sue. Hope you're doing well out there on the island, darling, and thank you for all that you do, along with the lovely Sunflower and others who are our moderators. If I'm wondering, I've got the chat on this screen tonight and a few other bits and pieces over here, so we'll see how it all works. I'm sorry for looking away from you. Paul Orchard, nice to have you in. The lovely Connie is in the house, and Sandy rescued a donkey today. How bloody wonderful that is. Now, I imagine this is the beautiful donkey from Taree that we are referring to. So, poor soul, it's a secret rescue, so can't publish anything on the socials. Very emaciated and skin and bone. Oh, bugger. Travelled safely. That's tomorrow, safe now. Oh, isn't that just lovely? And I love the way you anonymise the donkey by just showing its bum. It's because I imagine if you recognise donkeys, they have individual features, but a bum is a bum. So wonderful news, and thank you for everything that you do, Sandy. Wonderful animals that they are, and yeah, safe now. But a bit of love and a bit of sustenance, by the sound of it, is required, but in the right place. Hopefully you've got enough hay, and there's certainly been enough rain around for the grass to be growing, so it'll be nice and juicy, one would hope. What else is going on? Paul's saying a few things. It's now 2.3 million. James and Pauline have created a monster. Oh, yes. We'll get to that very shortly. Boy, have they created a monster. I've got to say, the news about the news has been the interesting thing for me today. Stewie, thank you so much for your donation, mate. Bless you. Trust you and the hound are doing well and warm at this time of the year. I know you like to camp out a bit, so yeah, could be fun. Donkey dentist, so he can't show his face. It's a bit like a lawyer, although now I think they're allowed to advertise. Just trying to catch up. Thank you to everybody for being with us here tonight. Lovely to have you. And boy, what an interesting day. Where to begin? Well, let's start here. Fire the liar. It's going to go down in history as probably the most successful fundraising campaign in political history. It has the ability, it hasn't finished yet. There is still quite a ways for this thing to run. But they started out asking for $1 million. Here we are, 2,281,435. Now, I brought that up about 15 or 20 minutes ago. Let's just refresh it. And there you go. We're now at 2.5 million, the goal. So the goal has gone up from what it was there before. There you go, $2.3 million. They've raised, what is it, nearly $60,000 in 20 minutes. So that slowed down. It is amazing to see what has happened here in this country I was going to say on the back of what One Nation are doing, but it's really not on the back of what One Nation are doing. It's on the back of what Labor have done. They have lost faith with the Australian people. Now, many of us never had faith in them in the first place. So, you know, they were fighting an uphill battle. Let's face it. They won the last election with 4% of the vote. There's a fair indication that, you know, better than 60% of the people in this country did not want them in the job. And now that has been able to be crystallized, not by anything that Pauline Hanson or One Nation or Barnaby Joyce or any other politician did. They did this themselves. And isn't it beautiful that liars always expose themselves? Beautifully. Now, they'll try and tell you that it's something else. But now, people who have a hard time identifying liars have just had a governmental lesson. I was going to say one example, but it's not. It's many examples. It goes back, and I think this is what One Nation are running on the billboards that they are now driving around through the suburbs of Albo's electorate, and that of Chris Bowen, I believe, and that of Tony Burke in Western Sydney. And that is the simple fact that these people will lie to you about anything. Albo lies to you about how he fell off a stage. Oh, he didn't fall. He stumbled. He didn't stumble. He bloody fell. One leg went right off the stage and his ass and the whole other half of him followed it. He fell down between the stage and the wall behind him. He fell down. He didn't stumble. He didn't trip over a wire. He didn't go down on one knee. He fell. But oh no, Albo had to lie about that. Why? Why would you lie about something that was so blatantly obvious and so public? Every TV channel, free to air in the country, was there. Not one of them denied that he fell, though, did they? Now that I come to think about it, maybe, probably putting words in their mouth. But Albo, oh no, I didn't fall. Are you going to change GST and negative gearing if re-elected to government? No. For the 50th time. How hard is it? No. Oh, we have changed our position after we got elected. No, we're not going to take it to the public. Shush. I know it's bad, but shush. I've got the hounds again tonight, and you can probably hear one whining at me for no apparent reason other than I won't pat it at the moment. So maybe I have to. Pardon my left arm. So, yeah, Albo and co are in a world of hurt. Now, I got sent some figures. I don't know how accurate these figures may or may not be, but I'm going to have to put these dogs out in a minute. I got sent some figures about the ALP fundraiser, their fight against One Nation. Now, the first figure I got came from somebody yesterday afternoon, and that was after One Nation had clocked through $1.7 million in less than a day, and that figure was $8,270-something. I got sent another one from a different person a little later in the day that was $9,211 or something, I think. And I got a third one that was $11,000, not quite $11,000, and that was late yesterday. I haven't got one from today. If Labor have half a brain, they've probably just tried to sweep it all under the carpet and they're going to run away from it. But oh no, they can't really run away from it. In fact, Albo was out being talked to and asked questions about it today. Here's what he said.
She raised more than $1 million yesterday.
Did she though? Did she though? Did she? What evidence is there? You know.
What evidence is there? What evidence is there? Well, that website, I heard James Ashby say in an interview with Ben Fordham this morning, was going to be audited today, and apparently the results of that audit have come in from an independent auditor of websites and funds and all that sort of stuff. And it's all 100% legitimate. 100% legitimate. Let's just say 320,670, whatever it was. Let's just see what it's going up in a couple of minutes. Okay. Well, there you go. It just keeps clawing and clawing and clawing up. Now, the ALPs isn't doing anything like that, is it? They must be dying behind the scenes, absolutely dying. And they've brought it on themselves because they are a bunch of liars. They cannot argue. They cannot rebut. They can only try and make excuses. And thankfully, it seems like the Australian public, by and large, are coming on board with that. A lot of the dyed-in-the-wool Labor supporters are now, like Dave Hughes, making multiple daily slaps at the ALP. Just how they've got it good for themselves. They couldn't give a shit about the rest of us. Do you know they've just voted themselves another big pay rise? Albo is now the 4th highest head of state in the world. He gets paid more than the President of the United States of America by a long way. And yet he oversees an economy that's a fifth of the size and screws it up. And when I say screws it up, all you got to do is look at what's going on right now in the markets. A bloodbath and a shorting that is reminiscent of the movie that came out in 2008. I think that Cass Smith warned us about, and I think we all went and had a big look at The Big Short. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. You'll get an understanding, or just go and watch it on one of the channels. It is there. It'll tell you exactly what the short is. And at the moment, the big hedge funds out of Europe and America have targeted, more specifically than anything else, the Commonwealth Bank, to short the Commonwealth Bank, followed very closely by Westpac, NAB, and ANZ are a bit further down the line for whatever reason. They're not as targeted, but they're looking to crush the Australian banking market. They're going to make a lot of money at it, and it's going to screw many people and the money that you have in a bank. We have been saying for a while, gold and silver is a very useful thing to have and to hold. It's much better than the paper promise that the bank will give you in return for the ones and zeros that are against your name in their computer account. And if you're at all concerned that maybe because of a short, these banks might say, hey, we're going to put another restriction on you. Instead of asking you why you're withdrawing your funds, we're just not going to let you. Because that's the kind of thing that potentially could happen. It's my understanding. I mean, I'm no financial guru. I don't study these things, never have. I got 18 for economics when I was at school in an exam once, and I was proud of that. But it wasn't 18 out of 20 either, sadly. Yeah, old story. But anyway, what we're going to need to do, folks, is keep the pressure on. Now, One Nation have $2.3 million and growing. They're going for 2.5. I reckon they'll have it by tomorrow morning, the way they're going. What are they going to do with that money? Well, the advertising campaigns, not much point in doing it now. They're already riding the tidal wave of support. What they're doing now by sending the trucks into Albo's electorate, into Burke, Tony Burke's electorate, and into Chris Bowen's electorate, probably, and a few others in Sydney too, I would imagine, is they're just keeping the pressure on. Their shit stirring. That's all for Canberra, right? That's. I mean, it's a bit of fun for the rest of the nation to see it. It's fun. And I think Andrew Bolt suggested something along those lines a couple of nights ago, where he finally, because I don't rate Bolt, I used to, but I don't anymore. He finally has come on board, and he thinks himself so smug. But he did identify something that I probably taking into account, and that is, this is fun to watch. It is fun to watch because for the first time, we the people are able to see a level, a measure of power. We are seeing, we the people, gathered together behind essentially one group at the moment, One Nation. And we're 2 years out from an election. So can that level of support be kept by just rolling a few of these trucks around into those electorates and giving us a bit of a laugh now and again, because that laugh will get stale pretty quick. And Labor have very thick skins. This will bounce off. I mean, they'll be hurt. Trust me, they'll be very, very badly hurt here, and they'll be looking to try and get Pauline locked up again. They'll be trying to do it in all sorts of weird, strange, and creative ways. They will be trying to figure out ways that they've raised money illegitimately, that they've somehow gone, and done something in the system. And in fact, every single thing that they are about to raise, I suggest they've already done at one point or another. That's why they're so well-versed in how it all works. So Pauline is in Perth at the moment. Might be flying back tonight, I'm not sure. But she won't be flying back on her plane. There is a reason for that. Her plane isn't a jet, right? It's a turboprop, which is sort of not really a jet. Kind of a jet, not really a jet. But it is not a jet. And if she were to fly her G7 Pilatus from Brisbane to Perth, she would probably need to stop, I would suggest, at least 3 times on the way over for fuel. At least 3 times. If she's going that far, and she's probably going to stay for a few days, she's going to need to bring luggage and people. Those people will also want to bring luggage. That necessarily cuts down on the amount of fuel that you can put in your plane. That will increase the amount of stops that you need to make. And it could make what would be a get on the plane in the morning, arrive 5.5 hours later in Perth trip into something that takes 2 days, potentially. So when she arrived in Perth last night, one of the young stars of Channel 9 Perth, God love her name is Sophie Fenner. I haven't seen anything quite as moronic since, well, the early days of blonde jokes. And if you want to see a blonde joke, folks, here it is.
Is Gina's jet broken? Is Gina's jet broken?
Do you think the party?
Why didn't you fly Gina's jet?
What a dumb question.
Did you fly cattle class?
I'm not answering your stupid questions, right? Get some credibility about you as a journalist and learn respect as well.
That very credible piece of journalistic Barbieism apparently went through some form of education and training in 2024 and then decided, oh, I'm going to be on TV, and worked in Queensland for a while, up in Cairns in far north Queensland. Fortunately, she didn't have the opportunity to make a national disgrace of herself up there, but getting to Perth in February this year, getting back to the home state, her great opportunity to shine. One of the biggest names of the year turns up. The biggest story of the moment turns up. And you have your blonde moment. Oh, did you fly cattle class? Oh, why didn't you bring Gina's jet? Well, because it's not a jet, you stupid bint. It's not a jet. Oh, why didn't you bring Gina's jet? Oh, did you come in cattle class? She may well have flown in cattle class. I don't think there's too much prim and proper about Pauline, but I'm sure if there was a business class seat available on a 5.5, 6 hour flight, which is what it can be from Brisbane to Perth, I'd be taking it. In fact, the 2 times I've flown to Perth, that's exactly what I've done because it was affordable at the time and I could do it. Couldn't do it today, but why wouldn't you take the business class seat? And pay for it. I'm sure she did. Whether it's and it will be a write-off to the party. Why wouldn't it be? She's going over there on business, so to speak. She's also going over there to try and raise the support for One Nation, which is not necessarily seen in Western Australia as a viable alternative. But it is very clear that the Liberal Party, the National Party, and the Labor Party are not alternatives over there. But there is a lot of corporate money in Western Australia, a lot of big mining, a lot of gold, a lot of big business. And there are per capita more millionaires living in Perth than there are in any other part of Australia. So Pauline is over there drumming up support for One Nation because it will be important that they do get West Australian senators, that they do get West Australian House representatives, because they're going to need all of them. It's never been more important in my lifetime that we get rid of this, or any government. For those people who have been sitting back idly and saying, oh, no, it'll be all right. Oh, no, don't bother voting. No, it's illegal to vote. It's all stupid. It's a waste of time. I would argue, here is the tsunami of change. Is it the solution? Let's wait and see. One Nation need to prove that they can and will make the changes that Australia is demanding. We, the people, are demanding. But One Nation are the only party saying they're going to make the changes. The Liberal Party aren't saying anything remotely like fire the liar. I could not think that, for the life of me, anybody in the Liberal Party would have the balls to put a campaign like that up. These men are mice in the Liberal Party. Weak, owned, corporate-controlled clowns. One Nation offers, in my opinion, an alternative, a difference. And at the moment, at least, we can only take them on face value of what they say because, well, let's face it, right now, they haven't lied to us about any of the policies. They haven't said, here's our policy and then changed it on the, over an election cycle or anything like that. Whereas if you want to really go back and analyse Labor and the coalition, go back and think of how many times Albanese has lied to you just in this latest term. Then go back and think of how many times ScoMo bullshitted to us. Before that, go back and think of how many times that piece of shit Malcolm Turnbull lied to us and feathered his own nest. Go back and think of how many times Bob Hawke, John Howard, Paul Keating, they all lied. All of them. And now the vast majority of Australians have woken up to the fact. I think they've always known. They've just thought they had to accept it. But something has changed. A lot of that awakening came through the COVID period, where a lot of people pushed back. And since then, even though some were coerced into it, they are still very much pushing back on so many different levels. There are new whistleblowers coming out every day. I watched and have a recording of something here. It's just a very bad image. It's pretty shitty to play. But this is an American nurse who worked through the system during that time and now is coming out and saying, you were given remdesivir. You all remember remdesivir, the antiviral that was given to people in hospital to hopefully, kill the viral outbreak in their chest from COVID. Well, the notes on the bottle say, do not give remdesivir, this drug, to anybody who is already showing symptoms, or if they've been showing symptoms for 48 hours. Do not give them this drug. They were giving it to people 10 days after they'd turned up with symptoms, and those people were dying in large numbers. But oh no, the doctors that were forcing it, the nurses that were doing it, more particularly the hospital administrators that were charging and being paid for it, have all been noted. And we talked recently about a supposed letter that was dropped to every hospital administrator, hand-delivered by military and received in person, signed for in person. And we've heard that that letter was 11 pages long and laid out what was going to happen regarding medbeds and everything else. In fact, somebody sent me something earlier today that said that we will have medbeds operating in hospitals in Australia before July. I pray, or through July, I pray that is true. I pray that happens because there are so many people in this family who need it. Sadly, there are so many. And of course, there are the whoppers in the world who's missing a couple of toes, and I, for one, would be there with a camera watching those regrow, I've got to tell you. But then there's, people like Margie who, I can't really go in it. I'd be sharing personal information without her permission. But let's just say the diagnosis department of a number of these places has a lot to answer for, a lot. So I pray that things like that come through. But we've heard dates before. So temper all of that with that in mind, that we've heard all these dates before. But there is no doubt that there is phenomenal change and that the tide has grown in volume. The swell is bigger and it appears in many places to be standing up. So to those people that would argue about, it's all illegal, they're all illegal, doesn't matter who you elect. You're not in a position to bring your pitchforks to the party yet. You don't have enough fans. But what you do have the ability to do is to sit back, wait, watch, and take advantage of what happens after the tsunami washes in and pulls back out. Then you'll have a very level playing field, because whoever is in power will be left with a very solid mandate by the Australian people to make sure that what has happened to Australia gets fixed and fixed fast. And that means laws need to be written to stop appeals from criminal immigrants who have been locked up and served their time and are now waiting to be deported. But they've put an appeal in. They can't be deported because, nobody loves me back there, or it's a real shithole. Well, it is a real shithole. You were given the privilege of coming here for some friggin' reason. And what did you do? You picked up a machete and chopped the arm off a 75-year-old man at 2 o'clock in the morning while he was trying to protect himself. Fuck off. Fuck off. Or if I had my way, I'd show you the back door of where you were held at and introduce you to a few friends who'd be outside to introduce you to some real Aussies. Respect can't be commanded. It can only be earned. Sometimes the earning hurts a bit. We have to stop this crap that's going on in our country, this disintegration of Australian values, the decimation of everything that we love. And I hope One Nation can do that. They certainly say they can do that, but I haven't heard them talk about their remigration policy. I haven't really I've heard them talk about deporting things, but I haven't heard about the remigration policy. And that's essentially what Australia needs. We need to send a whole bunch of these people who've come out here, taken advantage of the Australian taxpayer services to get themselves into the property market, do whatever. We need to get them out and let them go home. They've made their money out of us. We've had enough. I'd love to have you if you're contributing, if you're playing the game, if you've, become an Australian national. Well, I don't suppose there's too much that we can do about it. But if you're sitting here living off us, contributing very little, I'm a big fan of making sure that you're on a big plane headed home sooner rather than later. And I would like to think that One Nation, and certainly I believe if One Nation are going to fill a parliament, they're going to fill a parliament with people like us who believe that same way. Maybe some stronger, some lesser feelings, but by and large, there'll be a very strong balance of people who think remigration and reclaiming of the Australian way of life is the priority. above all else. Oh, how can it be above defence? How can it be above anything else? Well, defence is probably a bit of an issue because right now the Australian men and women of our fighting forces have been abused, they've been neglected, they've been shaved, chopped, given dresses, high heels, and a makeup allowance. So I do have some concerns about what's happening going forward. But I've been listening to Sam Bamford's Two Worlds Collide podcast, and he tells the story of being in Singleton recently at the infantry school there, and he was very encouraged by the caliber and quality of the young men going through the Australian Infantry School, or School of Infantry, at Singleton. Now, these are guys and girls who have just come straight out of basic training in Kapuka and are going into the infantry. They're learning how to do all manner of strange and weird and wonderful things out at Singleton, and eventually they'll probably find themselves being happily jumping out of aeroplanes and parachuting to the ground while learning how not to break all their arms and legs doing so. And the boys say these are very, very well-adjusted, very fierce young people who are dedicated to protecting Australia. They are showing Anzac values, if you like, the spirit of Australia. And you can go and look at the highest fighting forces, the most respected fighting forces outside of Australia in the world, the UK, England, Europe, Germany, all of them, including the highest ranks of the special forces in America, take their hat off and step back in deference to our soldiers, especially our special forces. But the Australian men and women have built a reputation right since the Boer War of never giving up, of being fierce, of being relentless, and being reasonably successful in the things that they do. Thank every one of you for your service if you've served. And all power to the young people who are climbing aboard now, whether that be Army, Navy, Air Force, to begin a career protecting we the people. It gets to the senior levels of the Defence Force where I start to get concerned. The senior levels of the Defence Force appear to be working against the Australian people. They appear to be working for the criminal Albanese and his cohort of criminals in the ALP. They may appear to be working for them. That might be a higher boss, somewhere from the central banks, for instance, somewhere from the dark side. I'm sure that'll all be involved. But at some point, the good men and women of rank and of enlisted status in our defence forces are going to need to take some action. And that action will be to make arrests of their senior management when it becomes too hard for you to ignore the crimes they are committing anymore. It is incumbent upon every enlisted man and woman not to carry out an order that could be illegal. You can push back and have no fear of reprisal because an illegal order is not a lawful order. You only have to follow lawful orders or legal orders. And that comes down to the decision-making of the person who's giving the order and what they obviously consider is a fair thing versus what you might consider is a fair thing. Well, I'm pretty confident that there are a growing number of Australians, both enlisted and ranked and outside in civilian life, who are very aware that things are changing rapidly. And after the letter that the Defence Command sent out to all the enlisted persons the other day about Ben Roberts-Smith, advising them to go and read the 2 books that the criminal journalist Chris Masters, and I say criminal because he went into the SAS, was embedded with the SAS under false pretenses. He made shit up, bent shit so he could make a good story, get a great career out of it. Yip yah. Chris Masters and that Nick McKenzie, filth. Absolute filth. I think I was talking to somebody today who served in the SAS in the late 90s, and we were talking about the movie that's been put out recently, produced by the SASR or members of it, in conjunction with a young movie maker. It's called Bravery and Betrayal, and they had for the hardest time getting anywhere they could show it. It was on Channel 7, I believe, somewhere around Anzac Day, and if you go back through whatever app 7 News, you should still be able to get it for free. It is also available, I think, on Prime TV, Amazon Prime, or one of the streaming services. I would commend you go and have a look at that. If you are in the services and you want some answers to questions, and if you want to truly understand what happened back in the day, then I would urge you to go and have a look at this. It will prove to you that today your military command is working against you. They are bluffing you, they are bullshitting you, and they are ultimately having you work against the betterment of all Australians and Australian interests. And that's going to end. Will it end with one nation? I don't know. Do you think it would end if Andrew Hastie got elected as the Prime Minister? Because there's talk that Angus Taylor is a dead man walking and they're going to stump Hastie up. I think Hastie will be lucky to keep his seat in Canning. You can imagine that now with nearly $2.5 million worth of fighting fund and Pauline Hanson and One Nation's stated admiration and love for Ben Roberts-Smith, that a campaign in Canning against Hastie is a lay-down misere. They'll go in and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and they will hang Hastie out to dry. And why? Will it be so easy? It'll be so easy because in January this year, Hastie posted a video saying, I will not support what the government's going to do over this new gun legislation and yada, 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 yada. And then the next day, he supported it. He lied. Another liar in the ranks. This campaign, Fire the Liar, is not just against the Labor Party. While Pauline and the rest of the One Nation crew may not want it to be against the Liberals as well, it's clear that certain members of the Liberal Party, and I've only just named Hastie, but there are a lot of others, who have lied to us previously. We cannot keep the liars in Parliament any longer. And while there may be questions over some things around One Nation, they cannot be accused of lying to us about their policies. Yet. God help them if that were to happen. But, not flash. And might be interesting to see what they make of things like this. The big Aussie short beginning, as we were talking about the banks being knocked down before. Well, I think they're all interconnected, aren't they? The crooked government, the crooked banks. Could it be that we're seeing, I don't know, a financial system crash? Oh, haven't we been talking about a financial system crash for a bit of a long time? There's a bit going on about that in America too, we've been talking about recently too. You know, the new note that's been put out by the US Treasury. There's a lot of interesting things that just seem to be happening in isolation. Or are they in isolation? I think it's more like a chain than things happening in isolation. And that chain is just getting stronger. People are being brought to justice. It's a slow process. It's a grind. But isn't there an old saying like that? The wheels of the law grind slowly, but they grind fine, or something like that. Well, I think that's happening with Dan Andrews at the moment, because we're back in court today, trying to hide their names. If you see here on the sheet, XY, a pseudonym, that's who is standing up there. What they're trying to do is hide their names and any of their association and keep all of that suppressed into their dealings with that piece of filth, Dan Andrews. And obviously they don't want to show what they enabled at Dan Andrews to do. That's going to blow up in their faces before the election. Okay? All of that will come out. I would suggest anywhere 6 to 4 weeks before the election, just so that it's fresh on every Victorian's mind when they've got to walk into a poll and figure out whether or not they're going to re-elect the witch, which I don't think is likely to happen. She's not likely. The beast from Bendigo East is not likely to keep her seat by the sound of it. The Fireys have been outworking Bendigo constantly to get rid of her. And now there are people who are actually making social media videos about the National, the National bloke who's walking up and greeting people. They're rushing out to meet him. How long before we see a One Nation candidate in that particular area? Labor will say, oh, look, we've done some good things, though. We've done some really good things. We stopped 16-year-olds seeing the internet and everybody underneath it. Now, there might be some value to that. The UK have decided to follow, and here is what is happening under their social media ban in the UK. All persons under 16 are prohibited from accessing social media platforms without verified parental supervision. Parental supervision must be logged digitally through the UK.gov app. Bloody hell. Parents must approve or share in real time. Bloody hell. Failure to supervise constitutes negligent digital guardianship. There'll be a charge and probably a very large fine or jail time for that. 5, there'll be penalties for negligent digital guardianship, including fines, up to £10,000 and potential removal of the devices from the household. We're going to fine your ass off and then cut you off from the world. Educational use is not exempt. Sorry, miss, I was looking up for a project. No, not good enough. Mental health considerations are not exempt. Oh, I've got to see EastEnders. Checking the weather on a browser that could access social media counts as attempted access. Screenshots of banned platforms are treated as contraband. Wow. Discussing banned platforms in school counts as conspiracy to access. Conspiracy to... Is that actually a law? Show me the legislation on conspiracy to access. Parents who express disagreement with these rules online will have their supervision privileges revoked. Compliance is mandatory. Any family member can report violations anonymously. You will be watched. Do you believe it? I have my doubts too. So it's a little bit too 1984. I think it's 2 years ahead of its time. But I do think it's very, very possible some shit like that could happen. Absolutely possible. Speaking of shit happening, I'm tossing up whether or not I even want to talk about this, because I'll be honest with you, it really does make me quite sick. Australia's biggest satanic festival started today. And it happens in Hobart. Mofo, Dark Mofo, it's called. And I've got to tell you, some of the things, are under the guise of art are quite disturbing. Now, there's a whole heap of bands who are coming to play at this event. I thought, well, I'll have a look and see who these wonderful Australian bands are. I've never heard of any single one of them. But then again, I'm an old fart. Haven't been in radio, playing music like I used to. But I then went and sort of did a bit of looking up on them, and I urge you to Google a couple of those bands. And anyway, here's another page. Make a noise like a dog. Go around about the city. Here's the dog installation. The Dogs of War. I had to get a close-up of that. Wow. I'm not exactly sure why that's there. But then there's this. And it's got the pyramid. It's got the eye. It's got just filth. And they don't even hide it. There is so much darkness in Tasmania at this time of year, sadly. And they've sold 55,000 tickets to it. 55,000. Now, I'm not going to say that all 55,000 people are Satanists. Some of them are just going for the art, I'm sure. Some of them are going for the food because it's a fine food festival. Not known for its vegan fare. What a surprise. Can't be a devil worshipper and be a vegan, for God's sake. However, they've made more of an effort for vegans this year. So, yip-yah for you. When I was down in Tasmania a couple of years ago, I drove past this gallery, theatre, expo thing, Mofo Centre, I don't know. There is a name for it. It's just blacked out in my head. There is such a dark feeling over it, like a really evil, dark feeling over it. And what saddens me is that, Tasmania has got 55,000 people. It's a sellout event practically. 55,000 people who are not just Tasmanian. They've come from all over the world for this, all over Australia. They've put on art installations on the Spirit of Tasmania boat crossing, on at least one of them, for it. Now, I just question what some of the art is. I've shown you some of the pictures, but God, some of them at this time of night would make you sick into your own dinner. So don't want to do that to you. But God help those people who want to spend their life like that. It makes me a little bit sad. Now, I did hear another little bit of news today. I don't know how true this is. I have a friend who has some very good knowledge of and access to CERN. And I saw this pop up on one of my feeds today, that CERN shuts down on June 29th. They're apparently going to tell us, or have told us, that it's for maintenance. Well, apparently it's not for maintenance. So I only mention it. I haven't heard back from this friend yet. The time delay and time differences probably mean I'll hear something tonight, I hope, or by tomorrow morning. But that would be rather interesting. CERN closing down. When is the winter solstice? What date is that? Should have thought of that before. Oh, it'd be the summer solstice over there, though, wouldn't it? Ours is the winter. Theirs would be the summer. Don't even know if they're at the same time. But interesting that it's happening like that. And, of course, we all know what CERN is and has been used for in the past. We've seen the videos. My God, that opening ceremony. Doesn't make you feel very good at all. I've just seen a headline pop up. Albanese accuses Liberal Party of giving up against rumours of one nation cooperation. Albanese is encouraging the Liberal Party, get up and have a fight, mate. Get up and fight, please. We need you, brother. If you ever needed more of an example that they're working together as a uni party, you've just seen Albanese and the Labor Party coming to the Liberals' energy levels. Come on, boys, get up and fight. Yes, you'll do it, boys. Yes. Oh, God, that's hilarious. I'm going to have to go and read that whole story. And the other half of the Pauline Hanson story with this lovely young Channel 9 reporter whose name, what was it again? Sophie.
Is
Sophie, this one.
Gina's jet broken? Is Gina's jet broken?
Do you think the party?
Why didn't you fly Gina's jet?
Oh, good on you, Barbie. Well, apparently the Daily Mail, not known for their support for Pauline Hanson, have come out and said, "Oh, do you think you should apologise to that young reporter for what you said to her? I mean, you were pretty harsh." I think Pauline was very restrained in her response. She said, "I think the apology, really should be coming the other way," or words to that effect, and it absolutely should. That blonde girl, my God, she has done more to damage the reputation of blonde women in this country than any person I've seen in the last 20 years. Simply staggering. Channel 9 have to be proud of the kind of exceptionally talented journalist they are employing. A journalist who doesn't know the difference between a light plane and a jet. A journalist who thinks it's okay to speak to someone who could potentially be the next prime minister of the country so disrespectfully and have such a smirk on its face. And I think that's why I'm a bit passionate about it. Did you see the smirk? Maybe I cut it off. Have a look at
Is Gina's jet broken? Is Gina's jet broken?
Do you think the party?
Why didn't you fly Gina's jet?
There's the smirk.
Did you fly cattle cars?
Yeah.
I'm not answering your stupid questions, right?
Oops.
Get some
Oops.
credibility
Smack.
about you as a journalist and
Smack.
learn respect as well.
Oops. Smirk gone. Oop. Oops. Jeez. I bet that didn't make it to air on Channel 9 in Perth last night. That's okay. More people have seen it now than Channel 9 Perth get viewers in a fucking year. So good luck, girl. We'll probably find her hosting Today next year, stepping in for Sarah, whatever her face is. But, oh, God, what a friggin' embarrassment. Australian free-to-air television. If you ever needed a reason not to watch it, that would have to be it, wouldn't it? My God. All right, folks. I'm going to close up a bit early tonight and feed the dogs because that's probably why they're whinging. Have yourself a bloody good one. I haven't told you, and Vince will kick me because I haven't told you. Wayno from Wilmington, wonderful, wonderful man that he is putting together an event that is happening on the 27th, 28th, 29th of June at the Stony Creek Bush Camp and Caravan Park in Wilmington, South Australia. I'm going to be there. I'm coming. There are a lot of other people already coming. There's a band organised, and apparently it's a hell of a good band. There are stalls happening. There are events going on. It's not just a freedomish movement-y kind of event. In fact, it's not really even a freedomish movement kind of event. But what there are is a bunch of very, very like-minded souls all meeting together under the stars in the foothills of the Flinders Ranges and getting together for a party and a few speeches and a bit of a get-together. I urge you, if you would like to come, get a hold of the Stony Creek Bush Caravan Camping Park or Camping and Caravan Park in Wilmington, South Australia. Ring Wayno. I'm trying to get Wayno. I tried ringing him last night. Forgot today, but I'm going to try and get him on the show tomorrow night for Free for All Friday so we can have a bit more of a talk about it. There are some sites left. This is quite a large caravan and camping facility, but you'll only be able to come if you have a caravan or a tent or something you can bring now, because all of the other accommodation is taken up. So caravans and tents and other camping things, all good. There is still a bit of room there, but it looks like it's going to be one hell of a party, and that's happening on the 27th, 28th. The party, I think, is on the 27th. Might be the 28th. I'm not quite. Could be a party for 3 days. There will be something to do with slot cars happening as well. So it's going to be a fabulous event. Can't wait to be there. Won't be bringing the bus. So to give you an idea, it's going to cost me a quarter of the price it would to fly there and back as it would to take the bus one way. So we're not going to do that at this time, particularly as they're now bleating about the price of fuels going up again because the Straits of Hormuz have been closed. Well, yes, the fighting has recommenced in Iran. Jordan had missiles fired at it today from Iran. Don't know that those missiles actually hit anything in Jordan, but certainly they were aimed at it. The reports coming out of Iran, the IRGC said that they were firing back in punitive response to what had happened with America hitting certain bases or certain facilities somewhere inside Iran. Punitive usually means, well, we're just going tit for tat, tried to scare you, so they've lobbed a rocket over their heads kind of thing. But they've closed the Straits of Hormuz again, and there are reports, no pictures, or none that I've seen at least, but there are reports that 2 ships had been hit that were transiting it. Now, it makes it sound like the Straits were open. They really weren't, you know, not in any meaningful way, and certainly not in a meaningful way that we are getting our fuel via Singapore through there. We're not. You would have remembered that Chris Bowen came out and said he'd secured something like 43 billion litres of fuel coming our way, spread over the next few weeks. We haven't really got to all of that fuel coming into the country yet. A lot of that is coming straight out of America, and they do have a big, long journey to get here from America, I grant you, but it takes a little bit longer, but we are still getting fuel. When was the last time you saw a headline that a service station didn't have fuel to sell you? So we've somehow managed to avert the crises. The government at the end of this month are going to put that other 26.5 cents of the excise back on again. So yes, there will be a huge hike on diesel at the fuel pumps again. But like I say, we're not getting our diesel from that part of the world. Only 1/5 of the world's oil supplies, 1/5, that means 4/5 doesn't come through the Straits. And the world, believe it or not, since February, has found ways to deal with that. There's no global shortages of people aren't running out of petrol on the streets unless they're stupid enough not to pull in and get some. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. They're just trying to scare us, which is what they're very good at doing, sadly. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for joining me. If you want to give us a hand, we would love your support. You can go to vofhq.com. There's a donate button there if you want to donate that way. You can go and check out our merch at merch.vofhq.com. Get yourself a mug. The Kakistocracy mugs, I've got to say, have really gone off. There's a series, and we're trying to get a few more together. It appears that you do like the coffee mugs with those weird words, which are real words, by the way, real words. So we'll try and organise a few more of those. But in the meantime, go and start your collection at merch.vofhq.com. And, of course, what little we do get out of that goes on to help try and keep us afloat. I wouldn't be able to get to this event with Wayno in Wilmington without your support. And I can't thank you all enough for that. It's wonderful of you. It'll be great. We will do a live stream from there. Wayno assures me that I'll be able to tap into his NBN and not be too concerned about bandwidth problems. So we will film it. We'll do a live stream, no doubt. We'll have many great conversations with people, and it will be a great time. I would love it if we could meet up there. You might want to get on the road if you're going to drive. But, 27th, 28th, 29th of June, and or 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th is when I'll be there. So I think I'm, flying in the night before. I'll be in Mannum on the Thursday night for the little My Place get-together in Mannum with Vince and his crew on that Thursday night. We might have something of a live from there, but it'll be more a catch-up for dinner, I think. And then we'll head off and do the event. Tim Dwyer will be coming up to the thing at Wilmington as well. It's going to be a great weekend. So if you are in that part of the world, or you feel that you could make the drive and be there, or you happen to own a light plane and want to fly there, then we'd love to see you. Please, whatever you do, if you're coming, just stay away from the dickheads on the road. God love you. See you later.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!